Hello, my name is Russell Singer with the Avaya Serviceability Engineering team. In this video, we'll demonstrate how to access the Radvision Enhanced Communication Server Gatekeeper, which is the H323 Gatekeeper for the Radvision solution. Accessing the Radvision ECS Gatekeeper can be a useful procedure if you need to verify that endpoints are successfully registering to the Gatekeeper, or also it can be useful if you need to verify the services that are administered in the Gatekeeper for use as auto attendants or IVRs in your video network. It can also be useful to verify that the administration performed in the iView management suite is successfully being pushed to the ECS Gatekeeper. Such administration as the IVR number as well as the H323 phone numbers for various endpoints and services. Now, it is important to realize that in order to access the Radvision ECS Gatekeeper via the web browser, which is what I'm going to demonstrate for you here, you do need to make sure that you're using Internet Explorer and that you have Java 1.6 or higher installed on your PC that you're accessing the ECS Gatekeeper from. Both of those are required in order to access the interface for the Gatekeeper. So we'll start off by entering the IP address of our ECS Gatekeeper, which in my case is the same IP address that I'm using for iView. And that's because I installed a co-resident iView management suite and ECS Gatekeeper. Now, at the end of that IP address in your browser, you will need to connect to a specific port. And this port is the specific port that the ECS Gatekeeper is listening on for these web administration connections. That port number is 8011. Now, once you hit enter and load this page, after Java loads briefly, you'll be presented with a username and password prompt. Now, by default, when you install the co-resident version of the ECS Gatekeeper, the username is simply admin and there is no password, so you leave that field blank. Now, obviously, if you've had this installed in an enterprise environment, it's very probable that you have set a password, so you'll need to enter that here. But by default, the password is blank and the username is admin. So that's what I'll enter here on mine, and we'll select Go. Now, once the interface loads, the initial page loads, you'll be taken to this product family entry point. You'll notice there's nothing really here on the screen, and I think primarily that's because I have an internal Gatekeeper and not very much registered to it. Regardless, in order to access the Gatekeeper administration, we want to select the local administrator link that's in the upper right-hand corner of that page. Doing this will load the Gatekeeper administration and status screens for us. And this does take a moment, again, because we're using Java, so you'll notice that there's a Java app that loads here into the page. Now, from this page, there are various settings that can be adjusted. However, it's recommended not to change any of the settings here in the Gatekeeper directly, but rather to do that in iView. This really should just be used for verification purposes to verify that what is being managed in iView is indeed being pushed here over to the Gatekeeper. So for example, if I select the Endpoints tab, I'm presented with a list of endpoints, including MCUs, and in my case I also have a Scopia desktop server, that are registered to this H323 Gatekeeper. I can also see whether or not the endpoint is online, the last time that it was registered, and some basic information about the type of endpoint it is, such as an MCU or a terminal, and the IP address. Now, the next tab I want to show you is the Services tab, so I'll go up and click on that. The Services tab will show me a list of phone numbers or dial strings that allow me to access different services within the Radvision environment. So you'll notice, for example, the 7.1 service there is my default service. The 5554 is my Meet Me conferencing service. And what I would expect here is that any service that I've added either in an MCU or in the iView management suite, that service should be pushed here as a valid phone number that I can dial and access. So again, just a couple of different places to come here and verify various information. But again, this is simply demonstrating for you how to access the ECS Gatekeeper through your web browser. If you need more information on what this interface offers to you, I encourage you to look at the Radvision support documentation, which can be found on the web at radvision.com or also on support.avaya.com. Thank you for your time today. We welcome your comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter at Avaya Mentor. For more details or related information, please visit support.avaya.com. Thank you for choosing Avaya.